Okay, multiplying complex numbers. So we multiply complex numbers the same way we would if it was just two terms with a variable, just like that was 6 times 7x. Or we could even put another I here, and just it'd be like 2x times 3x, which would be 6x squared. So we're going to multiply 6 times 7, the coefficients like normal, and we get 42. I times I, just like any other variable, it's repeated multiplication, so we use an exponent. Okay. Now remember, I squared is also equivalent to -1. Okay. So we can rewrite this as 42 times -1, which is -42. That's simple. Okay, next one. You'll notice we have a term on the outside, and we will distribute. So we see our distributive property show up here. 5 times 6 is 30. Keep your I. 5 times -2 is -10, and I times I is I squared. Well, again, I squared is equal to -1, and we get 30i minus 10 times -1, so we can replace I squared there, and we get 30. Negative times a negative is a positive. Ooh, I forgot my I. Don't forget your positive, or don't forget your I. And what I'm going to do here is go ahead and switch this around, and I know it's going to take some time for us to get comfortable rewriting that because we are so used to having that variable in the front with expressions, but with our complex numbers it is backwards, so we do want the I behind our 10 here. Okay, so let's look how we would handle this if we had two binomials multiplied. Bi just means 2, so we have 2 terms in each parentheses being multiplied. So what I'm going to use is called the FOIL method, or for my students and for me who struggle memorizing FOIL, we just say over, over, under, under, okay, which is the FOIL method. And what that essentially means is we're going to go over with the 9, multiply to the first and then to the second term, and then we're going to take the second term in the first, go under, multiply everything behind. So essentially everything gets multiplied by everything. Okay, so 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 7 is 63. Keep the I. Ooh, I cannot write today. 63. Keep the I. -7i times 9. -7 times 9 is a -63. Keep the I. -7 times -7 is a -49. I times I is I squared. Okay. So we FOILed. Now we will combine like terms. Left to right, numbers, combining numbers with numbers. Well, there's no other number without a variable term, so what I can combine here is 63i minus 63, which is 0. They will cancel out. I'm left with 81. I'm going to keep messing up tonight. 81 minus 49 I squared, but I squared is -1. So I can go ahead and replace that. And so I get 81, negative times a negative is a positive, plus 49. Add that up, and I get 130. Okay, let's practice one more. I wonder if I can squeeze that in over here. Because I want you to see what happens when we multiply and we get a complex number. Just again, for us to get comfortable writing my I as the last term instead of the first term. Okay, so we are going to FOIL this, over, over, under, under, and we get 54 minus 12i plus 9i minus 2i squared. So 6 times 9 is 54, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, keeping the I. 1i, so 1 times 9 is 9, keep the I, and positive 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Okay, so we can combine like terms right here, as well as go ahead and get rid of that I squared. So I would be left with 54 minus 3i minus 2 times negative 1. Remembering I squared is equal to negative 1. And then we get 54 minus 3i plus 2, 56 minus 3i. Okay, so let's do a couple of these with fractions, because we're big kids. We're in high school. We're not afraid of fractions, right? So here we go. We get 2/5 I times 10 minus 5/2 I. Okay, so we are going to distribute just like normal here. And we might have to review multiplying fractions a little bit, but that was the easy stuff, was learning how to multiply fractions. So we put a 1 in the denominator to fill in that gap if we need to. You multiply straight across, and then you simplify. So when I multiply 2/5 I times 10, I get 4. And just keep the I with it. Okay. Multiplying over, I get 2/5 times a negative 5/2. And again, multiply across, I get negative 10 over 10, which is negative 1. So I get minus 1i. And an I times an I is I squared. Which we know, I squared, the more we write it, the more we know it. I squared is equal to negative 1. So I can rewrite that, 4i minus a negative 1. We cannot combine those, but I am going to go ahead and flip it to that complex form where I put my 1 in front and my 4i, that variable term, in the back. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. So let's try another one. Looks a little bit crazier, but we want to get comfortable with them, and the only way to do that is to stop avoiding those fractions. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we have a 1/2 times 2i plus 2i times 1/2 minus 2i. And we'll start to see patterns happening here when we have two binomials next to each other or multiplied by each other and then just have opposite signs, but we'll get there. Okay, foiling this, over, under. Okay, 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. So I get 1/4, 1/2 times a negative 2, which would be negative 2 over 1, negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So I get minus I. 2 times 1/2 would be a positive 1, so plus an I, minus 2 times 2 is 4i squared. Okay, and now we combine my terms. Well, negative I plus an I would cancel, and I have 1/4 minus 4 times negative 1. Remember, I squared is equal to negative 1. Okay, and so 1/4 plus 4, I'm going to go ahead and put that over 1. Now we're back to adding. To add fractions, we do want common denominators. So I can make this a 4 by multiplying top and bottom by 4. And I am about out of room. Here we go, 17/4.